Hey, this is Matt Cox, and this is my vlog. I was gonna call the vlog "The Struggle" or "My Struggle," but then I was like, "My struggle." Why does that sound familiar? And I remembered that Adolf Hitler, when he was in prison, wrote a book called Mein Kampf, which is My Struggle. And I just thought, so this is the grind. Where'd I leave off? Last time I was talking about the halfway house, I think. So I get out of the halfway house, and initially I didn't get a job. I just started painting paintings and making money that way. And I worked at the gym periodically for my buddy Treon. He owns Culta's boxing and fitness, and so I started work. I worked there periodically. I did paintings, and I was I released a couple of books. But it's nice to get a check every once in a while for not doing anything, for something that I wrote when I was in prison. I wrote another book while I was out called The Program, and I should do like a podcast on the program. It was about me going through the drug program in a federal prison. It's like a dark comedy. I put out my book. I put out Del Exposed. I put out a few more books. Anyway, I just finished writing the Frank Amadeo story, and right now I'm getting ready to put that one out. So here's what it is. When I got out of prison, everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna go meet some chick. You're gonna do this, do that." Well, here's the thing. I had so much time. These guys are all like, the first thing they want to do is get laid when they get out of prison. The thing is, like, I was locked up so long, and I'd gotten such a hefty sentence that, I kind of came to the conclusion that part of my life was just over. I'm going to be 60-something years old when I get released, and that's if I behave myself. That's if I don't. If there's if I don't get any what's called shots, if I don't get any shots or disciplinary actions, if I don't get anything done. Keep in mind, I know a guy that lost 54 days bread for taking some bread, taking bread on his plate out of the chow hall. They patted him down. They pat a lot of guys down when you come out. They randomly pick you. They patted him down. He had a couple of pieces of bread. Boom. He gets a shot, loses 54 days game time. So, I had 26 years. And I assumed I'd be getting out when I was 60 years old, and I just kind of thought, like, that part of my life is over. Like, I'm not going to date anybody. I'm not going to be in a position to date anybody. But of course, I got my sentence reduced. I got out 11 years early, and there's a chance. So everybody's telling me, go on a dating website. Go on a dating website. So I probably shouldn't drink coffee or anything, but I'm trying to be casual. So I go on a few dating websites. I go on Bumble. Listen, anything I do, like, I'll do it a little bit, and if I think it's working, then I just smash it. So I immediately start adding zeros. So I went on Match.com, I went on Bumble, and I went on, what is the other one? Tinder. So I go on these websites. Initially I'm actually telling the women that I meet off the bat, look, I just got out of federal prison. I think you should know that. So I'm being very honest. And of course, they immediately look me up, and I either stop hearing from them or I get an email. I got a bunch of emails like this. Wow, I really appreciate your honesty. That's going to go a long way with me. And then I would never hear from them again. I actually, when I was on federal probation, I'm still on federal probation, but for the first year, basically because of the severity of my crime or whatever, because I was on the run and my propensity to reoffend, I have a high recidivism rate. I ended up having to take like once a week. I was getting a piss test, a urine test once a month, sometimes twice a month, because my probation officer had to come by once a month, and she would usually randomly come by and give me a piss test. So I also had to go to 1 hour of therapy every single week. It was just me and a therapist. So I explained to the therapist about the issue I'm having, and she actually tells me, maybe you shouldn't be so honest up front. She says, listen, maybe you ought to think about just tell them your first name, get to know them, meet them, go on a date or two, and then tell them. And I remember thinking, listen, by the second date, 50% of them by the first date you're having sex. By the second date, for sure, it's over. So I'm like, and I even told her, I said, look, so basically I'm supposed to have sex with these chicks and then tell them I'm in federal prison? That's a pretty big deal. Like, some of these chicks would get extremely upset. So, I started thinking, you know what I'll do? I'll just tell them the first night. So I start going on dates. Every woman that I told, we would go on a date, and 30, 45 minutes into the date, I would explain, look, I need to tell you something. And I would tell them, and they were always pretty polite. And they said, oh, I totally understand, and that makes sense. And then I never hear from them again. One chick I actually met, and so we go and we meet, and I say to her, after talking to her for a little bit, she seems pretty cool, So I thought, she's been married a couple times, she's got a kid, she's been around, you know what I'm saying? She was an entrepreneur, she's owned a bunch of businesses, like she's been around. She's not a babe in the woods. So I tell her, I said, look, here's what happened. I want to let you know there's an issue. It's not a big deal. I said, I just got out of federal prison a few months ago. And she goes, not a big deal. She goes, that's a huge deal. And I went, well, like, I totally didn't see that coming. I was like, I go, well, yeah. I said, well, it's really not a big deal. I mean, it's not like I was driving around with somebody's head in the trunk of my car. I said, it was bank fraud. It was nonviolent. It's really not that big of a deal. She goes, well, they sent you to prison. That's a pretty big deal. And I went, well, yeah, I understand. But, and she had told me her son had gone to jail. So that's why I kind of felt like, we're going to be good. So I said, yeah. And she goes, well, how long did they send you to, how long were you in prison? And I went, I was in prison about 12 years. And she goes, 12 years? That's a huge deal. That's a big deal. They don't send people to prison for 12 years because it's not a big deal. Now she's getting loud. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm on federal probation. I can't have the fucking cops showing up. Like, I can't. She's getting really upset. And so I said, listen, and I just remember the way she reacted. I remember thinking, there's no way I'm dating this chick the way she's behaving. She's completely overreacting. And so I said, oh, well, you think that's a big deal? So now it's like, okay, it's over. I might as well fucking go all in. I go, you think that's a big deal? I said, listen, that's nothing. I go, I was #1 on the Secret Service's most wanted list. I was wanted by the FBI, Secret Service, U.S. Marshals. I was on the run for 3 years. I stole over $15 million for sure that I'm responsible for. Another $55 million possibly that maybe I'm responsible for, that my mortgage company did, depending on who you talk to. So I said, I said I was on Dateline, American Greed, Fortune magazine. I said, St. Petersburg Times did like 30, 40 articles on it. Chicago Tribune. I said, so I start naming off all this. She was like, holy shit. And I said, yeah. I said, so, yeah. I said, I mean, I guess if you want to look back 12 years ago, 15 years ago, or, whatever, 12, 13 years ago, and judge me based on that, I said, I totally understand that. That makes sense. And, this isn't going to work out. And she goes, well, I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to work out. She's like, I borrow money from people. I'm an entrepreneur. I own several businesses. I don't know that the people I'm involved with would be okay with me dating a guy that was locked up for bank fraud. She goes, I mean, it seems questionable. And I said, it's not questionable. I said, I'm absolutely guilty. And she goes, yeah, well, it's probably not going to work out. And I went, yeah, I said, I kind of figured that. And she goes, she she goes, I mean, look, you seem like a nice guy. You seem funny. I mean, I wouldn't mind hanging out with you. Like, we could be friends. And I said, no, listen, let me explain something. I said, there's two kinds of people. There are those people that are 100% acceptant of the things that I've done in the past and the person that I am now. And then there are those people that can go fuck themselves. And she goes, yeah, we're not going to be dating. I said, I absolutely agree. I understand. So that ended up not working out. Then I went on another date with a girl that was so nice, so sweet, just really great. We met at Starbucks, really nice, really sweet woman. She worked at a law firm. She was a legal secretary. She'd been there for 20 years. Really nice person. And I got in my car, and I remember I called my friend Stacy, and she goes, oh my gosh, how'd the date go? And I went, yeah, I said, I can't date her. She was so nice. She was so sweet. And I just remember thinking, I would walk all over this woman. She's not going to stand up for herself. She's not going to tell me when I'm being obnoxious. She's not going to tell me when I'm being a jerk. She's not going to, and the truth is that at 51 years old, I know the kind of chick I need to date. And I met one girl I went out with that was, she had been a correction officer for the state of Florida for like 3 or 4 years. I think she had just left there like a couple months earlier. That didn't work out. So eventually I end up meeting this chick, and we're going back and forth talking, and we're supposed to meet at a restaurant. So I go there. When I'm on my way to the restaurant, she says, and we've been communicating through Match.com, but there's like a delay. She said to me, hey, can you give me your phone number so I can text you directly? I said, sure, no problem. So I sent her my phone number. She reverse directories the phone number, finds out my name is Matt Cox, and never shows up, stands me up cold. Then she contacts Match.com, and they shut my account off. She was also on Tinder, shut my account down on Tinder. Fucking Tinder, it's like a hookup. It's like a hookup site. She said, look, the guy's he just got out of prison. What kind of people do you have on here? And they shut it off. Yeah, so I'm dead in the water as far as online dating. I guess everybody's telling me, no, you just go back in as somebody else. You put a new. I'm not doing all that. Fuck that. Guys are like, bro, you should hook up with this chick or that chick. The problem is this. I live in someone's spare room. At that point, I was living in someone's spare room. I was driving a piece of shit. I'm still living in someone's spare room. So I live in someone's spare room. At that point, I was driving a piece of shit Jeep. I mean, just falling apart. This thing was it was the worst. Every single month, it was $700 for this, $300 for this. Every time I thought I was starting to get ahead, it was $500 for this, $800 for this. It was just ridiculous. Luckily, I got another vehicle. So I've got a piece of shit vehicle. I live in someone's spare room. I just got out of federal prison. I know you're not going to believe this, but women aren't exactly beating the door down to get to me. Ultimately, I end up meeting somebody, so it doesn't really matter. It's funny, but I'll tell that story in another one, another vlog. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch everybody. I'm trying to catch up to where I currently am. So that's my story about dating. Just fucking tragic. This is a quick vlog, and I'm gonna do this twice a week, and I'm gonna get better at it. I'm working on it. Do me a favor, smash the like button, share the video with your friends, buy some merchandise, buy a book. I have a book. It's called Shark in the Housing Pool, and that's pretty much where I'm at. See ya.